And now, the bit you've been waiting for, some actual practical tips about how to read more effectively. If you decide on your purpose, that will tell you which papers to spend time on and to put good attention towards. That's one thing. The other thing, of course, is to always read when you are fresh. People seem to think the reading can be put off till you can have a glass of wine and lie on the couch. And I have to say that's one of the things that attracted me to academia. I thought I could lie on the couch and read loads of stuff. In fact, that might be useful sometimes, for example, when you want to reflect on a piece, but most of the time it is counterproductive. You need to be reading when you can sit at a desk, be typing your work, be taking notes, feeling that you are in control of the reading. So that's one big tip. Read when it is the best time for you. Read the most important papers in that time. And perhaps even try to make sure that you have more time for the key papers rather than try and spread it too thinly across a lot of papers. The other tip is you need to know, because of your purpose, when you can skim or when you can scan or when you can preview. Now, previewing is what I did earlier. It's getting a sense of what the whole piece is about so you can decide which bits you should concentrate on, because you do not need to read it all every time, and you certainly don't need to read it in the order that it is written. And that's a very important thing to know, because for many of us, we feel uncomfortable reading it in different orders. After all, the writers worked hard to construct a narrative that hangs together. But often our job is actually unpicking that narrative, and we might just take certain sections, or we might read certain sections first, which help us understand other pieces. So, for example, this particular piece, I will read it from top to bottom at a later point, but in my first stages, I did much of that skimming and I did some scanning. You might think about scanning when you're looking for particular things. That's when you're looking for information for, facts or something like that. But otherwise, you're going to need to try and read your entire way through. Now, probably an important question many students ask is, how do I read dense material, difficult material, stuff that doesn't make any sense to me to start with? And I do have a few tips for this. Now, generally, when you read dense material, try to read it all the way through. The reason you do this is if you keep stopping every time it gets a bit difficult, you'll spend a lot of time trying to make sense of a piece that may make sense later when you've got the whole picture and you can put the puzzle together. So this does work, and many students tell me it works. Read it all the way through. Just go straight over the bits you don't understand and keep going. Don't try too hard. Put it away for a while, come back, and then read it again. And often you'll find that because you have this bigger picture, it'll start to make a lot more sense. The other thing that you would do when you read more difficult material is you might take notes that act more as a map. So you're not necessarily taking notes for what you want to do and how you want to use it, you're using notes to help you understand it. And a lot of people find that by doing a mind map as they go will help. So since this is on white possession, I might put that in the middle of my mind map, and then I might try and add the various elements of her argument as I go through to help me understand that particular material. The other tip we might have is that you need also to take the opportunity to, when you read stuff, to take the dialogue further. Talk to other people about the text. Try and explain it. And the beauty of this is they don't even have to be listening to you. As long as you get out there and try and articulate and voice what you've read, that will help you also get a better understanding. And then finally, what I wanted to mention to you here is all these props. Now, we all have props that we use, and this, the highlighter, is probably the most common prop. People tend to love these, and I'm not so sure that we should be so in love with the highlighter. Because one thing that the highlighter does when you're reading is it allows you to feel that you are working. And really, in many cases, the highlighter is simply allowing you to colour in the page. Because every time you highlight and you don't write any notes in your own word, you don't make a reference in the margins, what you are doing is deferring the work. So I think you might find you're more efficient if you put the marker away and instead begin to write some notes in the margin. So in trying to reflect on reading and how we do it, I think the best thing is if we all think about our own reading and then try different strategies. And if we remember that, of course, some strategies that work for some people won't work for other people, and there are going to be very specific elements. Of course, we could spend a lot of time, or we should, thinking about how we do take notes. That's not actually the focus of this particular discussion today. But what I want you to take away is the idea that reading is something that can be learned and can be honed, and we do this by reflection. And I hope that trying some of these strategies, particularly around having a clear purpose, will help you become a more effective reader. And I think that's enough for today, because after all, I have some reading to do.